What if I told you that the United States government, one of the most powerful economies on the planet, accidentally set a trap, and silver walked straight into it? Not just a small bump, not just a 10% gain. Silver went from $30 an ounce at the start of 2025 all the way to an all-time record of over $121 an ounce by January 2026. That is a 300% explosion in less than 12 months. And here's the crazy part. The very policies that were supposed to protect American industry are the exact reason silver went completely out of control. So what happened? Who set the trap? Who got caught in it? And most importantly, is silver done climbing? Or is the biggest move still ahead? Stay right here, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why silver has become the most talked about metal on the planet right now. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We break down big money moves, global markets, and the stories behind the headlines in simple, everyday language. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most explosive stories in the world of investing right now, silver's record-breaking rise, and the shocking role that U.S. trade policy played in making it happen. Let's get into it. To understand what's happening with silver right now, we need to go back to the beginning. For most of the last decade, silver was kind of boring. It sat quietly in the shadow of gold. Investors mostly ignored it. It traded between $18 and $26 an ounce for years. The world knew silver was useful, but nobody was exactly rushing to buy it. But silver has two personalities, and that's what makes it special. On one hand, silver is a precious metal, like gold. When the world gets scary, people run to precious metals as a safe place to store wealth. That's called safe haven demand. On the other hand, silver is also a critical industrial metal. It is used in solar panels, electric vehicles, semiconductors, and AI data centers. In fact, every single solar panel made in the world today requires silver, because silver paste is used to capture and transfer electricity from sunlight. And with the global push for clean energy, the demand for silver in solar panels alone has been growing at a jaw-dropping rate. So silver is both a store of wealth. Since 2021, silver has been running a supply deficit. That means every single year, the world has been consuming more silver than it is mining and producing. In some years, demand outstripped supply by as much as 250 million ounces. That might sound like a big number, but the entire mine supply is only 850 million ounces. So for several years in a row, the world was burning through its silver stockpiles just to keep up. The above-ground reserves, the cushion that the world relies on when supply falls short, were shrinking fast. According to Dana Samuelson, London's physical silver supplies had already decreased by 30 to 40%. In other words, the silver market was already sitting on a powder keg. All it needed was a spark. And then came 2025. When Donald Trump returned to the White House, he came back with a bold and aggressive trade agenda. His goal was simple: make America less dependent on foreign countries for critical materials. Bring manufacturing back home. Protect American industry. To do that, his administration started announcing tariffs, taxes on imported goods, on a wide range of products: steel, aluminum, copper, and then silver entered the conversation. In early 2025, the U.S. government added silver to its critical minerals list. Now, that might sound like just a bureaucratic label. But what it really meant was this: silver was now officially on Washington's radar. That new status put silver within the scope of possible Section 232 investigations, the same legal tool previously used to justify tariffs on steel and aluminum. Section 232 allows the government to apply tariffs or import quotas on products believed to create an over-reliance on foreign sources, which could harm national security. Now, here's what made traders nervous. No tariff probe had actually been launched yet, and no tariffs were officially announced. Even so, the prospect alone was enough to shake the market, because any future duties on imported silver could disrupt trade flows and push up costs for manufacturers. Think about it this way. If you were a big manufacturer in America, a solar panel company or a chip maker, and you heard imports might get taxed heavily, you'd go out and buy as much silver as you possibly can right now, before the tariffs hit. And that's exactly what happened. According to Liu Xiao, an analyst at Zijin Tianfeng Futures, fear about tariffs being added to silver has led to a large amount of silver getting stuck in the US, limiting flows into the global market. Silver was getting stuck in the United States. American buyers were hoarding silver, pulling it off the global market, draining warehouses in London and Asia. And as that happened, the price started to climb. Fast. This is the trap. The US government accidentally created a panic-buying frenzy that sent silver prices into orbit. Now let me walk you through exactly what happened to the silver price, because this is one for the history books. At the start of 2025, silver was trading around $30 an ounce. Pretty normal. Nobody was panicking. Silver crossed $30 as early as January 5th. It climbed through March, peaking at around $34. But then came April 2nd, what the markets called Liberation Day. That's when Trump made his sweeping tariff announcements, hitting dozens of countries with new trade taxes. And the reaction? Chaos. Following the announcements, silver actually slumped, falling below $30 because of concerns about industrial demand. Investors were scared. If the global economy slows down because of a trade war, then factories produce less. Fewer solar panels, less silver needed. So the price dropped. But that fear was short-lived, because something bigger was quietly building in the background. By June, silver was soaring again, reaching $37. In a mid-2025 interview, analyst David Krauth said, "We have flat supply, growing demand that's nearly 20% above supply. And our ability to meet those deficits is shrinking because we're tapping into above-ground stockpiles. It's the perfect storm." That phrase would prove to be an understatement. Through the summer, silver kept climbing. And then in the fourth quarter of 2025, something extraordinary happened. By October 9th, silver had finally breached its previous all-time high of $49.95 per ounce, a record that had stood since January 17th, 1980. That was 45 years of waiting, finally over. Silver hit $58 on November 28th. Then on December 9th, it broke above $60 for the first time ever. And by December 28th, silver hit a 2025 peak of $83.90 an ounce. By December, the precious metal had more than doubled in value since the start of the year, up over 102%. But hold on, the story doesn't end there, because January 2026 came around, and silver didn't slow down. The silver all-time high of $121.62 per ounce was reached in January 2026, $121, from $30 to $121 in 12 months. That move makes financial history. Okay, so at this point, you might be asking, sure, tariff fears caused a panic, but why did silver keep going even higher? Great question. And this is where the story gets even more interesting. Because by early January 2026, the Section 232 report was finally released, and silver was not tariffed. The Trump administration chose not to impose silver import duties. So you'd expect the price to crash, right? The fear was over, no tariffs. But here's the thing, it didn't fully crash. It wobbled, sure. It dropped sharply for a day, but then it rebounded. Why? Because the tariff scare had revealed something deeper. The global silver market was structurally broken. Silver prices rose by more than 130% over 2025, fueled by industrial demand and tariff uncertainty. Silver's industrial applications serve as an important demand driver. But now the structural supply-demand gap had become impossible to ignore. Higher industrial demand from emerging sectors, particularly the transition to renewable energy and the emergence of AI technology, was highly supportive for the silver price. Solar panels are an especially exciting sector, as manufacturers have found that increasing the silver content in panels actually increases energy efficiency. And then there's AI. Every AI data center requires enormous amounts of electricity. That electricity needs to be generated and distributed efficiently. Silver is critical in the circuit boards, connectors, and cooling systems inside those data centers. As AI expanded at warp speed in 2025, so did the demand for silver. The gold-to-silver ratio had come as close as it had been in 15 years, meaning silver was catching up to gold in relative value as both metals experienced extreme volatility at the start of 2026. The world was waking up to something silver investors had known for years. This metal is massively undervalued. Once that realization hit mainstream investors, the flood of money coming into silver was unstoppable. The giant silver-backed ETF, the iShares Silver Trust, set a fresh record by value of over $47.5 billion, matching almost 30% of the giant gold ETF in size. Money was flowing in from everywhere. Now, here's the part of the story that nobody's really talking about. The U.S. government's original goal with the critical minerals list was to protect American industry, to ensure that America had enough silver for its own factories, to reduce dependence on foreign supply. But what actually happened? The fear of tariffs caused American buyers to hoard silver. That sucked silver out of the global market. It created artificial tightness in London and Asia, and the resulting price spike made silver more expensive for American manufacturers. The very companies the policy was supposed to protect faced skyrocketing costs. Solar panel makers, electronics producers, medical device manufacturers, all of them paying record prices for silver, partly because of a policy that was never even officially enacted. That is the trap. Washington tried to protect its industries, but created a buying panic that drove prices through the roof. One analyst noted that the immediate heat may be off silver after the tariff-free report, but added that tightness in trading conditions was unlikely to ease dramatically because conditions had become tight in Asia as well. The genie was out of the bottle. The silver market had been fundamentally disrupted. So now the big question everyone's asking, where does silver go from here? Let me be very clear. I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. But let me share what some of the world's biggest banks are saying. Citigroup upgraded its 3-month forecast for silver to $100. In early 2026, silver breached $120, and while it pulled back significantly after that, it spent February consolidating and stabilized above the $80 mark. On March 1st, as the U.S. started a conflict with Iran, silver once again approached the $100 mark, peaking at $96.40. The volatility is real. Silver is not a smooth, easy ride. It swings wildly. It can drop 10% in a single day and recover the next. But here's what the bulls are saying. The fundamental case for silver, the supply deficit, the solar energy boom, the AI revolution, none of that has gone away. Looking at the structural supply-demand deficit, magnified by an explosion in industrial demand for solar energy and AI data centers, analysts say those structural factors remain in place. And here's something worth thinking about. Gold is currently trading near $5,000 an ounce. Historically, silver trades at roughly a 50-to-1 ratio with gold. At $5,000 gold, that would imply a silver price of $100. The bears, on the other hand, point out that industrial efforts to reduce silver usage are expected to accelerate. When something gets too expensive, industries find ways to use less. So the market is watching carefully. Every Fed meeting, every new tariff announcement, every geopolitical development. Silver has become one of the most closely watched commodities in the world. Now let me bring this down to earth for a second. So what does a 300% silver rally mean for regular people? First, if you're in the tech industry or work for a manufacturer that uses silver, this directly affects your business. Component costs are rising, production costs are climbing. That eventually shows up in the price of the products you buy. Solar panels, electronics, and electric vehicles will filter through to consumers. Second, if you've been hearing about silver as an investment, the story here is not just about speculation. It's about a real, structural shift in how the world uses silver. The energy transition, the AI revolution, the push for clean technology, silver is at the center of all of it. Third, and this is the bigger lesson, this whole story is a masterclass in how unintended consequences work in global markets. A policy that was designed to protect American industry created a panic that hurt those same industries. Markets are complex. Sometimes the thing you're not watching changes everything. Still with me? Good. Because I want to share one more thing with you before we wrap up, something that most people completely overlook when they talk about silver, and it might be the most important detail of the entire story. Here's the wild card: China. They are the world's largest producer of solar panels. China is also a massive consumer of silver for industrial use. They are in a deep, ongoing trade war with the United States. In October 2025, escalating trade tensions led to Chinese export controls on additional rare earth metals and threats of 100% tariffs on Chinese imports by the U.S. China controls a huge portion of global solar panel manufacturing. Those solar panels need silver. If China decides to stockpile silver, or if the U.S. tightens its grip on silver imports from China, the supply squeeze gets even worse. Speculative interest in silver surged from Shanghai to New York. The East and the West are both fighting over silver, and the supply just isn't there to satisfy both. This is why some analysts believe the silver story is not over, not even close. The energy transition and AI will need silver for decades. The world is only beginning to wake up. All right, let's bring it all together. Here's what happened with silver, in simple terms. Number 1. Silver was already in a supply deficit for years before this story began. Number 2. The U.S. government added silver to its critical minerals list and hinted at possible tariffs through Section 232. Number 3. That panic pulled silver off the global market, created a physical shortage, and sent prices surging. Silver went from $30 to $121 in about 12 months. Number 4. The tariffs were never actually imposed. But by then, the structural damage to the silver market was already done. Number 5. The underlying fundamentals, solar energy demand, AI data centers, industrial use, global safe haven buying, remain strong and are not going away. The U.S. blockade, or more accurately, the threat of a blockade, set the trap. And silver, and even American manufacturers all walked right into it. And that, my friends, is the full story of how the U.S. government accidentally helped create one of the biggest silver rallies in modern history. I want to know what you think. Do you think silver will hold above $80? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you learned something new today, and I really hope you did, please do me a small favor. Hit that like button. It takes just 1 second, and it helps this video reach more people. And if you want more videos like this, then smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. Thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.